from musicmoose.org. This is DJ James, and today what I want to do is talk to you a little bit about, for those of you who are interested in starting to play some funk guitar. We're going to do some funk guitar comping and the best way to approach it. Now, so far as technique goes, the first thing that you need to know with your funk guitar is your right hand. The right hand has to keep pumping up 16th notes the entire time. So any riff that you play, your right hand should not stop. Now if you notice that, 16th notes right in the right hand the entire time. The right hand technique for funk guitar, for the most part, fairly simple. Just keep driving the entire time. It's all about the left hand and how you know how to mute in your muting and accenting with your left hand is where the real the stuff of playing funk is. The chords that you're normally going to hear in funk most of the time, in case you haven't come across them, are your ninth chords. And the ninth chords have a very simple position. If you take a look at the figures that are accompanying the video here, some of the PDFs along with it and the diagrams below, you'll see a chord diagram for the ninth chord. Now your ninth chord generally has the root on your A string, and this is the most common voicing. There are many other voicings for the ninth chord, but this is your common James Brown, Soul Live, all of your great funk bands. This is the ninth version that they play. Your root starts on the A string. Then you'll play the third, one fret behind it on the D, and then right below that middle finger, you're just going to bar the top three strings with your ring finger. If you haven't done this before, it's going to take a little time to get your hand used to it. And that's the ninth chord. That is your quintessential funk chord. The only time you'll see something different is the single alteration. And for those of you who are interested in theory, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say you can also sharp the 9. For those of you who are still sort of learning your theory, just recognize what this means is dropping your pinky in on the B string. And it gives you a little bit more of a crunch sound. A lot of beginning guitarists know this as the Jimi Hendrix chord. Hendrix made it famous in a lot of his tunes, and it's one that you'll definitely recognize when you hear it. These are the two chords that are the basis of the funk guitar. Now, what you can generally do is use those chords on top of any type of progression. We're going to start it off by using them on top of a blues progression. I'm going to be playing ninth chords the entire time, but the one thing I'm going to be doing is playing different voicings of the ninth chord. So if you don't recognize the left-handed shapes, don't freak out. Essentially what I'm trying to do is get this sound in your ear and really work your right hand, and so that you start getting those 16th notes down in the right hand. And I'm going to play through a quick blues progression in C playing ninth chords. So we'll start it off. So that's a general introduction to the way that you'll play funk rhythm guitar. Again, important things to remember. First of all, keep that right hand grinding out the 16th notes the entire time. Up, down, up, down, up, down. And really work on the left hand. That ninth chord is incredibly important. Other tips in terms of left-handed technique when you're playing funk guitar. First thing to do, and you'll hear it, you heard it likely throughout that entire blues progression that I played. And that was just, again, just a very simple 12-bar blues in C. Anyone could play it. You should be able to follow along with that without a problem. One thing that you want to do is use your left hand as something that can accent, as something that can mute. Those rhythm scratches that happen in between every accented chord, incredibly important for this type of guitar. Now you'll also notice once I got into the second time through that progression, I started to use a different voicing. Now very quickly, this different voicing, also a C9. And the C9, if you take a look at it, we've got this voicing which begins on the third. E, B flat, D, and way up here we've got our fifth, our G. Exact same chord as this one. We're essentially just playing the top of it. So it's another voicing you can use. So, again, exact same voicing, just in an easier part of the neck. What we can do then with that is, once I kind of moved up playing that progression the second time through and started using that voicing, the other thing that I did was just to start to play some fills based on a C blues scale. And this is something you can do all the time. So one more time, I'll just play through that progression and just to give you an idea. Essentially what you're doing there is kind of giving yourself a little bit more of a bass, especially when you're playing this voicing, which starts on the third. Well, now you want to emphasize the fact that that's really a C. It's not some sort of E chord. So, and what you should hear is also sort of the basis of a lot of Stevie Ray Vaughan's rhythm style, that sort of grinding funk, 16th notes in the right hand, and those types of voicings. In our next lesson dealing with funk guitar, the one thing that I'm going to start to work with is how we might use some different approach tones, different chromatic approaches to really gussy up those licks that we play, especially when we're in blues progressions. So for musicmoose.org, this is DJ James.